Welcome to the History Slam podcast from Activehistory.ca. Here's your host, Sean Graham.
Thank you, Adam. Welcome to the History Slam, everybody. I am Sean Graham coming at you today from parts unknown. We've done the show in a lot of different places: China, Dallas, Boston, Washington, D.C., Victoria, and I don't know where I am right now. I basically drove to the middle of nowhere, and I drove like an hour past that, and I got here to Cars, Ontario. I'm here with the Reilly-Boyes family, Megan and Aaron. Welcome to the show.
Hi.
Thanks for having us back.
So why are we here? Why? This is allegedly Ottawa.
Because we live
It
here.
is not allegedly. It is Ottawa.
So you moved out here less than a year ago, right?
Yeah, January.
Yeah, so you're settled in. We did shows before. Last time you were on, Megan, was at the old house.
Yes.
In Nepean. Now
Yes.
you're out here. You're all settled in.
Yes.
Feeling good. And it's decorated already, which is not surprising to me.
For Christmas, you mean? Decorated for Christmas?
Yes. So it's all sort of decked out here. The Christmas tree's up and all that stuff because Christmas season, first one in the new house.
Yes.
Are you excited for it?
Absolutely.
What is the plan this year?
Lots of Christmas parties.
Yeah, but I mean, for Christmas specifically, it's just going to be the three of us in Beasley and Christmas presents and all that kind of fun stuff here. Just the four of us.
Very nice. And yes, we will get to the third member of the family in a little bit.
Yes. Stay tuned.
Hopefully she wakes up from her nap at some point. We can get her on the show.
That would be good.
It would be great. But
Long as she's not grumpy.
Yeah, we don't want any cranky pants here.
Yeah, no.
No cranky pants.
Oh, then Aaron should probably leave.
That's fair.
So the reason we're here is we wanted to talk about, with it being the festive season, some of the best Christmas fads and Christmas toys of all time, because the three of us are pretty much the same age with some minor discrepancy. And although if you ask my students, it's a major discrepancy.
What decade?
Apparently I was born in the 70s, according to my Tuesday night class at Carleton.
What?
Yeah.
Why do they think you're so old?
I think it's because I have no hair.
Oh.
I think the hairline belies my actual age. But we wanted to talk about that because we grew up sort of around the same era, and you've done some research in terms of the big trends. I have some stuff here, and we've also asked some other people. But we thought it'd be good going into the Christmas season. What are the best Christmas fads and toys of all time? So, what do you think? Let's start out just personal favorites. If you can pick one from when you were a kid, what was the thing that you remember really wanting?
Well, I was saying to Megan earlier when we were chatting about this, anything related to the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. If my parents or Santa got me something like that, I lost my mind. That was just the be-all and end-all. I'll tell a story that my parents love to tell ad nauseum. There was one year we went to my grandparents for Christmas, and my brother and I are relatively the same age as well, so we got dual gifts. And we opened them together, and they were Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle sleeping bags. And my parents say that we went wild. We just went absolutely insane. But I think the funniest part is that we didn't know what they were. We just knew that it was Ninja Turtles. We didn't know they were sleeping bags. We just knew it was Ninja Turtle. I personally don't remember that, but I totally see it happening. And then one other, and I actually have it in my room right now. I'm now in my 30s, but I still have it with me. I got a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle stocking. It's Raphael. I woke up on Christmas morning, and my old stocking had been moved, and this new one was sitting there. My brother got one as well, and I still have it. I love putting it up every year. It's part of my childhood, part of my nostalgia. So yeah, I think those things for me were like my biggest ones.
Okay, Ninja Turtles. Megan, what about you?
For me, it was Polly Pockets.
Oh yeah.
And Barbies. I did like Barbies, but I was really fond of Polly Pockets. And I regret giving them away to my cousin who was younger than me because I really wish I had them now so that I could play with them with Ellie, with my daughter, because they don't make them like that anymore.
Right. So these, I want to make sure I'm right on these. They almost look like like almost like compacts.
Yeah, exactly. And then you would open them up, and then it would be like a mall or like a bedroom or a store, and the little figurines were smaller than an inch.
What was the name of the ones that they targeted for boys? What was the name of those?
Mighty Max. Because I would steal my brother's Mighty Max so that my Polly Pockets had dates, because they didn't really give you a whole lot of boy Polly Pockets. But yeah, so I used to like make like street scenes, and I would steal my brother's little Matchbox cars, and that would be their ride, so they could drive around town. And like they make them now, but I think they're giant because they were choking hazards.
Yeah, that would be the thing. Yeah.
Which is why I really wish I'd kept mine, because I loved them so much. I had like probably 20 or 25 of them.
Wow.
Yeah, and a lot of them.
So you were like all over town. There was like the mall, the school.
Yeah.
I'm sure there had to have been like a beauty parlor one.
Oh yeah, there's lots of, and then they got even more elaborate. At one point, they had like a castle that it was not pocket sized. This one, it was humongous, and it was amazing. Wow. I missed them.
Jeez. So I remember one year I really wanted a remote control car.
Oh yeah,
yeah. It was this one where I can't remember what it was called, but like in the commercial, it would run into a wall and then like flip over because it was like two-sided.
I remember those.
Yeah. So I got it from my grandparents, and I remember being super excited about getting that. But yeah, I don't know. I always remember getting up Christmas morning. The stocking would be at the foot of the bed, and my brother and I would go into our parents' room while we were still small enough that the four of us could sit on their bed and open stockings and stuff. Oh, yeah. I just remember that. And then my mom would make breakfast, and then we'd do gifts. And it was really
you guys did breakfast before gifts?
Once we got a little older, I'm sure it was when we were little, we probably just ran downstairs.
Yeah. It's funny because it's one of those things that I'm always interested to hear what people have done. Because my family is opposite. We always did gifts first. Sorry, it had to go stocking, then gifts, then breakfast.
That was the same with us. We couldn't wait for presents. Like there was no waiting.
But I know others that I've chatted to, same thing. You know, they get up, do stockings, breakfast, gifts, or some combination thereof. Obviously, you know, everyone does it differently, but
or like my mom always makes muffins on Christmas morning.
Okay.
So like she would make muffins. We would sit in the kitchen, and then when the muffins were ready, maybe do some gifts, and then have a bigger breakfast after that or something. Yeah. So those are our stuff. Now let's go through sort of historically what are some of the biggest trends that we've found and some of the best all-time gifts that we have here. So let's go through, and I have a few that I've selected, but I want to see what your list is. Okay. So for you, Megan, what do you think is one of these biggest trends or not even trends, like a fad, one of the biggest fads that we've had in Christmas toys?
So I remember in the 1980s, because I was born in the 1980s, Cabbage Patch dolls were like huge. And I remember I got a Cabbage Patch doll, but I was really, really young, so I don't actually remember getting it, but then I had it for years and years and years. But I remember my parents would always say to me whenever I was playing with it, "Do you know how hard it was for us to get this for you?" Because it was like such a huge fad that it was really hard to keep them in stock. So that one I remember. Yeah,
so it's like an early 80s thing that sort of continued through the decade. And I have here that, so they came out in 83.
Yeah.
And then in the calendar year of 1984, they sold 18 million of them.
Oh, yeah, I believe it. Yeah.
Yeah. And they're, okay, so you had one. I don't remember if we had one in our house.
My sister did.
Yeah.
They're creepy looking.
I think it's the hair that's maybe a little bit weird because it was made of yarn.
Oh.
But their faces were like so like cute and pudgy, and they usually had like rosy cheeks. And actually, Ellie has a modern one.
Oh.
But they look fairly similar to the ones we had as kids, but they don't have the yarn hair. They have more of like the realistic, in quotation marks, synthetic synthetic hair. But that's the only real difference from when we were kids from like the Cabbage Patch dolls now. But they're called Cabbage Patch dolls. Like it's the same brand, the same faces.
And were you supposed to like get a bunch of them and they would be friends with each other?
Oh gosh,
or was it like a series, or were they just a stock model?
You would they were all different. So I remember mine had brown hair and it was in pigtails, and you would get them and they would come with like a little card that would give you like the details about that doll. So it had a name and I can't even remember what other information it gave you about her. But they still do that. So when Ellie got hers, it had all this information about your specific doll. But yeah, there was so many different variations of them.
Right, because it was sort of like you were adopting it, right?
Yeah.
That was the idea. And now here's my story, and
exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So those were absolutely huge.
Yeah.
Like, there was rushes on those, and you can find footage of stores opening, people scrambling to get their Cabbage Patch doll.
Yeah.
So there you go. So Aaron, what do you got on your list there?
When I was going through as well, I'll stick with the 80s just because of something that my siblings and I had, the Game Boy.
Yes.
And I've got to hear that it came out in 1989. I don't know when we would have got ours. As far as I can tell, it just magically materialized, and I had always had it. But yeah, so I remember having that, and we used to play it obviously on road trips and stuff like that. But there was one, and I've got an older sister and a younger brother, and we had to share it. We had to take turns playing. We'd only play for a certain amount of time, and then we had to pass it along. And there was one Mario game that we had, and we always had competitions with each other, who could get the furthest. And then I remember my mom used to get in on that action every so often. She'd take a turn at it. And then, of course, the amount of games that they came out with it. The Game Boy was huge. Just, you think about all the handhold things now, it all goes back to the Game Boy.
Yeah, and the thing is, too, it's like 2 years after Nintendo comes out? 2 or 3 years after Nintendo comes out? Yeah. So to go from that to the handheld that fast was amazing. And I remember we had one, and it was a light / magnifier. Oh, so you would hook it on.
So you could play in the dark.
Yeah. And it would magnify the screen at the same time, which was pretty cool. Yeah, so at night we could sit in the back seat driving back from wherever and play.
I didn't know they had
that was
those.
one of the drawbacks of it, because
Yeah.
once it became dark, you couldn't see the screen anymore because it wasn't backlit.
Yeah, and there was so we also had, it was like Mario Golf or something that was with it, and it was the hardest game I've ever played. It was so hard to hit the ball and to hit it accurately. So I discovered that if you hit A, B, and start select at the same time, it would automatically reset, but it would take you to the same place where you were, and the shot wouldn't count. So if you hit a bad shot before the ball stopped moving, if you did that, you would just reset and go back. So it would take me like 15 minutes to play a hole because I would reset.
Because you're a cheater.
Yeah. That's basically it. Yeah. I wanted to win, in this game against nobody. I felt very strongly about it. But yeah, and there was something too. I remember, like, as a kid with the Nintendo, I had a Nintendo, Scott and I did. The controller was easy to not necessarily throw, although I'm sure my parents would tell you I threw it a few times.
Yeah.
But with the Game Boy, I never felt compelled to throw it.
No, that's true.
Like, controllers, you felt like, oh no, and you throw it down. But with the Game Boy, there wasn't that.
I remember getting frustrated with it, and you'd shake it up and down because you're frustrated with that, or you maybe hit it against your lap because you were angry with yourself for dying. Because in those days, you especially with Mario, you touch something and you die. Like, there was no lives or no health or anything like that. You just died. But yeah, the Nintendo, we definitely went through a couple controllers. I'm shocked that my parents continued to buy us the controllers.
Well, as we were talking about before we started to record, sometimes having something on a screen can be useful for parents to keep children quiet.
That is very true.
Yes.
So another one from the 80s that I want to mention, I'm curious if you two remember this, the Teddy Ruxpin.
Oh, yes.
I
remember
dolls.
Teddy Ruxpin.
Yes. Megan, you look somewhat, you don't remember it?
I know exactly what it is, but it was never like something that was in our house. So I think I actually know more, I'm more aware of it as an adult than I ever was as a kid.
Okay. Because, it's basically a talking bear.
Right.
That you would have. And this thing, so it comes out in 1985. In 1985, it cost $68.
It cost $68
in 1985.
How much would that be now? Like $200?
Maybe not that much, but
That's crazy.
at least in the mid. Yeah, it'd be pretty expensive.
Wow.
For a toy. And you two are parents.
Well, this is why I don't know about it from when I was a kid, because there's no way my parents would have bought me a toy that expensive.
Yeah, pretty expensive, but
wow.
12,000 of them were returned because they would just talk gibberish. the internal mechanism wouldn't work. So instead of saying whatever he would say, it would just be like just nonsense words. So you'd have to return, which would suck because given the rush that there were on the Teddy Ruxpin dolls, to get one and then to have it not work, it's not like you can just exchange it for another one because all the stores are out of them.
Right.
So you get your $68 back, which is nice, but it's not that great. And the other thing that's cool about this is it was designed by Disney Imagineer Ken Forsey. So you know that sort of that Disney magic when you go down to either Florida or California, or if you go to any of the parks anywhere, Disney has that. There's something about Disney, like with the animatronics and the characters, and they do it really well. So it's not surprising that this product was as popular as it was because it had sort of that Disney magic in it. And yeah, very popular product. But again, another creepy looking one. I think it's kind of weird. And I remember like his mouth would just sort of flop up and down, which in the 80s was pretty cool. But when you look at it today, like his mouth isn't forming words. It's just moving. It's like a ventriloquist.
Yeah. It's like those, do you remember those singing fish?
Oh, like how you put on the wall?
What did you put on the wall? Yeah. And like literally the mouth would just flap open, but it was so entertaining.
Well, similarly with the Teddy Ruxpin, and I have this on my list, for one of the biggest fads in the 1990s, was Tickle Me Elmo.
Yes.
Oh, I remember this,
which was pretty much exactly the same as Teddy Ruxpin, but when you're talking about creepy, I don't know why this went into my mind, but I recently saw a video, and the headline, or the title was Something for Your Nightmares. Someone had stripped away all of Elmo's fur for the Tickle Me and showed it what it looks like. It is terrifying.
Oh.
Once Elmo stripped away all of its fur, it's terrifying.
Why did you do that to poor Elmo?
I don't know, but someone did.
That's awful. No, I remember that was big when my younger cousin was, like 3 or 4. The Tickle Me Elmos were really big, so I remember him getting one and me thinking like, these are really cool. Like they were really cool.
But those I don't have numbers in front of me to back it up, but those I remember being insanely popular too, and very difficult to get.
Yeah. So what I found was that retailed in 1996 for $28. Yeah. So that's not unreasonable for what it was, but at the same time, because it was so popular, it sold it very quickly, and there were reports of markups into the hundreds of dollars because there was that much of a rush on this thing. And they came out a few years ago with a similar thing, but it's called something, it's like a Hug Me Elmo or something. So the technology, it's the same idea, but if you hug it, it will hug you back. Aww. Which is kind of sweet.
Aww. Who doesn't love Elmo?
Yeah, and it's like child size.
Right.
So if you have so with Ellie, it'd be almost her height.
That's really
cool. And then you could just hug it and she could have a friend.
That's cute. So Ellie got some money from her grandma.
Okay.
And was able to pick any toy she wanted. And so we were walking around Canadian Tire, and we went in the toy aisle, and she didn't really find anything she liked. So she goes to the Christmas decoration aisle, and those singing, like singing Santas, singing snowmen, where you press a button and it sings a song and it kind of moves around.
And it's
shimmies, it shakes, whatever. So no, she finds a singing flamingo,
of course,
wearing a Santa hat, who sings the Macarena and whose neck, wiggles around. And she loves this thing. But the thing I thought was the most hilarious is that I was expecting her to want to, turn it on constantly, but she wanted to cuddle with it.
With the flamingo.
But with this, and it's not very cuddly because it's got all these things inside it that make it move. No, she wanted to sit there. She wanted to cuddle with it.
She wanted to bring it to bed with her one night, and we had to explain to her, no, sweetie, because it's not going to be that comfortable.
Yeah.
It's not like stuffy. You're not going to be able to get, it's not as conducive to sleeping.
So, but that just makes me think of this Elmo toy. Like, it's something about the way that it's animated that makes it feel so lifelike that they want to, like, oh, it's my friend.
Right.
As well as, like, as technology improved, right, you're able to add a little bit more padding towards it, make the control device a little bit smaller. And
so that you don't feel all the moving parts.
The gears and So we've heard the Macarena a lot lately.
Which actually leads me to another thing that I don't know if this is on your list, but the Chatty Cathy doll. Sort of I have it on my list. The genesis of this in the 1960s, the Chatty Cathy doll. Now, if we look at the Chatty Cathy doll, she would only say 11 things, and a couple of the lines were very empowering comments like, "Do you love me?" and "Please brush my hair." Really pushing that female empowerments of the 1960s there. But that's really the start of where this stuff comes from, is this interactive doll. And Chatty Cathy, I think, was one of the most popular gifts of the 60s. I know you talked to your parents.
Yep.
Did any of them mention the Chatty Cathy?
No, which is surprisingly, actually, no. If we want to kind of segue into that, I asked my parents, and my mom remembered that the toy that she always wanted and her favorite was getting a Barbie, which was, of course, I think the 50s. When the Barbie came out, it was first introduced, is the 50s. So obviously Barbie has gone through many iterations. I want to I want to say almost like a regenesis. Barbie has kind of really been repopularized.
Well, she's been more empowered as
yes.
Sean was sort of.
Oh yeah,
yes.
But Barbie is to this day still very, very popular.
Yeah. So 1959, I'm showing here for
yeah.
Barbie. So yeah, same time as Chatty Cathy.
Yeah. So I mean, that was my mom's. My dad's was something called a Johnny 7 one-man army toy gun.
Yeah, so maybe I'll put a picture of this with the post. I don't know.
You're going to have to, or a link to it or something.
This is a ridiculous item.
It is absolutely hilarious.
It is ridiculous.
I had to Google it, of course, to see what it looked like, and I found an image, and I'm thinking, that can't be what it is. So I sent it to my dad, and my dad's reaction was, yes, that was my favorite toy ever.
Yeah.
What is it? It's just a toy gun?
It looks like it, but it looks like a machine gun.
Oh, wow.
And it's colored, like it's green.
Right.
And like it looks like something that you would see someone walking around with in a Vietnam War movie.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
So I'm showing the image right now.
With a grenade on it and everything.
Yeah, so it's very high-powered. High-power artillery there.
Yeah, it's like, it says, on the box it says, 7 guns in one, the one-man army, no batteries needed.
Wow.
And yeah, totally. If you Google it, or if Sean's able to put up an image of this, I mean, this is like Rambo on steroids, kind of like that.
What do you guys think about toy guns? I don't know how I feel about them. Yeah,
I'm out. I don't like them.
So I don't think I would never give it to my own child, but then I think about like water guns, and I'm like, well, is that really any different? And like, I don't know. I think in general I don't like them, but I also don't know like if I would say to other people you shouldn't give that to your child, like, you know what I mean?
On my list here, to go back to historical toys for the 1990s, Super Soakers were huge.
Yep.
And yeah, I mean, I can't remember, I was chatting with someone about this, but how obviously you don't need to give a kid a toy gun for them to make something a gun.
Yeah.
It's whatever it is, I don't know what it is about humans. It's like you can pick up a stick and then all of a sudden now it's a gun.
Do you remember cap guns when we were kids?
Oh yeah, cap guns were big.
And I mean, I remember playing with cap guns. Yeah. And I was never a like, let's pretend to be ninjas or let's pretend to be cowboys or anything, but like there was something sort of cool about these like bam 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 cap guns.
Well, talking about guns as well, I asked a friend of mine what a toy that he always wanted for Christmas, and he had mentioned that he always wanted an air gun, but his parents would never get it for him.
What's an air gun?
It's the same basic premise, I think. Hopefully, made it right, as a BB, but it's kind of like, I'm assuming it uses a shot of air, obviously, to fire a projectile.
Okay, gotcha.
And so yeah, he said he never got it, and but he said when he was old enough, he was 22. He said I promptly went out and bought one. And immediately shot my younger brother. And I thought that was just so appropriate that your first target would be your younger brother. And it's like, no wonder your parents wouldn't buy you. They say,
of course,
yes.
Because if you're not responsible at 22.
Yeah.
Well, it's because it's like in the, it's you guys, I've started doing this every year, is watching A Christmas Story.
Oh, nice.
The movie from the 80s.
Right.
And he, of course, wants the BB gun.
Right.
And everyone says you're going to put your eye out with that.
Yeah.
And that's what I think of with guns.
With guns, yeah.
And just, I don't know, the imagery of having a gun. But you mentioned Super Soakers and water guns.
Yeah.
And then I think about Nerf guns, too.
Yeah,
like, are those
exactly.
bad? I don't know.
Yeah, because I remember playing with Nerf guns with my brother and friends of ours when we were kids. You know, we had one that was a bow and arrow Nerf. Like, it had, like, obviously the arrows and they shot out and everything like that. Like, there's so many of them, obviously.
But I just, like, I mean, you look at your dad who wanted this, like, insane gun when he was a kid. And, like, he obviously did not turn out to be, like, a homicidal maniac. So I feel like that we know about. Yeah. So I feel like it's, like, one of those things. Like,
please don't be a homicidal maniac.
As long as you're
be a real downer.
As long as the parents are making sure their children understand, like, you know, this is just pretend. You would obviously never play with a real gun, and, you know, you don't shoot anyone in the eye with it and that sort of thing. That's why I'm sort of, like, unsure how I feel about toy guns in general.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Yeah.
There's not necessarily a clear answer to it.
Yeah.
So let's go move on. And what else do you have in terms of historical ones?
This one, so I had a lot of fun actually doing this because so many of these toys are still around today. One of them from the 60s is the Easy Bake Oven.
I had one of those.
I mean, that's not around in the same format. Those things were hazards.
Oh, of course, but I mean, but
you could
but
kill
there's
yourself.
different iterations of it.
Those things would burn down your head. This beautiful house that you just
but
bought
they still
would be
exist.
gone in 10 minutes.
Mine never had any issues. I made my cake with my light bulb, and it was delicious.
I remember friends having that, and I don't remember if my sister had one or not. But I remember being around them and thinking, this is so cool. You know,
the only issue with them
these things
was that it came with, I think, maybe like 3 packages of cake mix or whatever, right? Because it was like these really tiny little pans, right? And once you use those, it was like, Mom, Dad, can you go get me more? No. Like, so then it's useless. Like, it was one of those stores, like, you had to keep getting the supplies for. So, you know, it was, like, really fun when you first got it, and then it kind of went in the back of a closet and, you know, never appeared again.
Because you couldn't use normal bake mix, right? Like, it had to be the because it's a light bulb.
It was a light bulb that baked your cake. Yeah.
And it'd be hard to do it now with, like, the
LED light bulbs that have no heat that come out of them.
Yeah, it's sort of an old school product in that respect. It'd be hard to do that.
And it was also really, like, cruel to a child because it took so long to bake, and all you wanted was this cake. And it was like,
how long would it take for?
I think it took like an hour. I could be exaggerating, but as a child, that's how long it felt. It was like an hour to cook this little cake.
Yeah, and we have like 2-bite brownies on the table with us. Like, it was smaller than that, right? What you
No. They were. I want to say they were the size of like a pancake, like your average size pancake.
Okay.
From what I'm remembering, but it was definitely like a 1-person sized cake. You know, you weren't sharing this with anyone.
Well, no, you baked it yourself.
Yeah.
But I bet your parents expected you to share it with your brother.
I don't remember. I do remember being very excited to have it, though.
Yes, that's why they don't talk anymore, because of the
cake.
They didn't share the cake. Yeah.
Well, he didn't. In fairness, he didn't share his Game Boy with me. I didn't share my Easy Bake Oven with him. We were cool.
Oh man, yeah. So that's a plot point in a Seinfeld episode where girl that Jerry is dating has all these old toys, one of which is an Easy Bake Oven that Elaine really wants to play with. And she makes something and George goes to eat it, and Jerry's like, you know, that batter's like 30 years old. Like, yeah, go for it. Why not? All right, so what else? What else we got? Easy Bake Oven, that's a real blast from the past.
Yeah, another one from the 60s that I remember playing with as a kid, and I saw an advertisement just the other day, so I know that they're still making them. Light Brights.
Oh, I loved my Light
those
Brights.
were good. Yeah.
Because when they had the stencils and it's, you know, it had the color, so it's like if you had to put a red bulb, it was R and then B, and then you could create these really cool things.
Yeah.
Or you could just do it on your own. So I remember having a Light Bright.
So a couple of years ago, when we were decorating for Halloween in the store, they had basically a package where you could turn your pumpkin into a Light Bright. So it had the little plastic pegs, just like a Light Bright, and it had the stencils. So you kind of taped it onto your pumpkin, and it had a little hammer. You banged the little pegs where they needed to go, and then you took the paper off, and then you put your candle in the pumpkin.
Wow.
And I remember it was like, this is so cool, because it just like brought me back to my childhood, and it didn't look as good as I would have liked it to, but it was so nostalgic that I was like, this is amazing.
That's a really good idea.
Yeah.
That's a really good idea. And those things, I would get frustrated with them. I think my brother probably used it more than I did because he was more patient than I was growing up. But they were cool once they were done.
Yeah.
It just took forever to get to the point where it was done.
Yeah.
And it's like, I remember if you didn't line up the stencil quite perfectly, you're trying to put one in it, and it's like it missed. And it's like, it missed.
Or
and you couldn't get it to sit perfectly.
You'd be short like one purple peg, and you'd be like, where's the extra, and you'd be so mad because you couldn't finish your masterpiece.
Yeah, and that's something too in the movie Elf, which is another movie I like to watch every year. He uses it when he's redecorating the store.
Yeah.
He uses Light Brights to spell out Welcome Santa.
Oh, so cute.
And the thing, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
And along with that, Etch-a-Sketch. I put
yes.
Etch-a-Sketch and Light Bright kind of in the same category for some reason. I know they're very different.
I
but
hated Etch-a-Sketch.
Yeah, we had an Etch-a-Sketch as well.
I always found them too hard to, because I'm very, I like things were like neat and tidy and precise, and it was just so hard to do that with an Etch-a-Sketch that it made me crazy.
It was, I was never good at it.
Yeah,
I'm not good artistically at all.
Yeah.
You're good artistically,
Yeah.
which surprises me that you
No, it was
didn't like
just
it.
because like to try and get like a circle or to try to turn the dot. Oh, it made me nuts. I couldn't do it.
All right, so what else do we got here on your list? You got a lot of stuff.
Yeah, I found a lot of really
good stuff.
things.
Yeah.
I've got one that I think anyone who grew up in the 90s and appreciates nostalgic Christmas movies, The Talk Boy.
What the heck
That
is that?
Kevin McAllister had in Home Alone 2.
Oh, is that the thing where you record your voice and it plays
That was
itself
The
back?
Talk Boy.
Yeah.
So I thought our version of that when we were kids was the Yak Back.
So when Yak Back came out in, I think when we were teenagers maybe.
Oh, it might have been. I definitely had one though.
Either late 90s, early 2000s.
because
but
it
I've
was
got
cool.
Talk Boy from the early 90s because that's what Kevin McAllister uses. You know, he right at the beginning of the movie, it's like, Kevin, are you ready? Yes. Yes. And it's just, and like you think, oh, look what I can do with that. And again, I'm sure one of our friends had it, and my brother and I were insanely jealous that our friends had it, but we never had one.
Yeah, so it's showing up here in 1993 for the Talk Boy, and then the Yak Back was part of that same company, and
Yeah, okay,
stuff
that
was
makes
coming
sense,
out
yeah.
later with it into the
Okay.
mid to late 90s. And
Okay.
actually, what I read this morning going through stuff, that the Talk Boy wasn't a real thing, that it was a prop in the movie. And it was so popular
They made it
in the movie
into?
that they made Hasbro made the toy.
No way.
That this idea of what Kevin McAllister is doing in the movie was so cool to people that they had to go and make this product.
That blows my mind. I
yeah.
did not know that. That's
So,
really cool.
Yeah, so I read that this morning, and if someone can confirm that or see if that's wrong, but I did read that this morning when I was
If
researching this
Macaulay Culkin is listening, please call in now.
stuff. And let us know. Whether or not that's true.
That would be cool though.
Yeah.
They made a toy just based on
Yeah.
what was in the movie.
And that they pulled advertisements for it because it was so popular when it came out.
Yeah.
That they would advertise and people would go to the store and there wouldn't be any there.
Oh my gosh.
Because they were sold out already. So they just
Yeah.
pulled all the advertising. They figured there's no point spending money on advertising. People are coming and getting it anyway.
Yeah. Wow.
I'm just looking at Aaron's list here and I see Pogs and that's so funny. I totally had a million Pogs.
Oh, so did we.
I almost forgot they existed until I just saw them on your list.
So what were the point of Pogs?
So they were little round cardboard discs, and they had different, designs on them or whatever. And you would have something called a slammer, which was like a hard plastic disc, and then
a little bit thicker than
the Pog.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
you would put your Pogs in a stack. So let's say you and I were battling. So you would have 3 Pogs and I'd have 3 Pogs, and we'd put them all in a stack. And then you would take your slammer and you would have to try to flip them over.
Yeah.
And then
so you put them upside down in a pile.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and you would try to flip them over, and then you would, if you flipped over however many, then you got to keep them. So if I flipped over some of yours, and I got to keep yours. And
Okay.
so you would, and it would be like you might go to the playground that day with 20 Pogs and leave with 5. Depending on, because it was
So it's childhood gambling.
Oh,
yeah.
for sure. Yeah. I remember that was such a huge thing on the playground where everyone had their Pogs and everyone had their slammer, and you would bring them to school and
that was the thing. There were certain ones that you just did not play with
because you wanted to keep forever.
This is mine. There's
are there characters on
Yeah.
them?
So
Yeah.
I remember
Oh.
that from, I don't even know what year this came out. Do you guys remember the cartoon Gargoyles?
Vaguely.
It was from Disney.
Okay.
And I remember they had Gargoyles
Pogs, yeah.
And I got a slammer once that was Gargoyles. And I remember friends wanting to try to battle me for it. And I was like, no.
Yeah, not happening.
I will never, ever battle
Yeah.
with this one. This is what I'm, yeah.
And it was fun too because it was girls had them, boys had them. It was sort of one of those toys that really was it was very gender neutral. Like everyone was playing Pogs.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So the series Gargoyles TV series by Disney, first episode 1994. They made 3 seasons of it.
There we go.
So there you go.
Sounds
I remember
familiar.
watching
I feel like I'd have to like watch an episode to.
Oh yes, sorry, I'm looking at a picture of it now. I totally remember
Yeah,
those.
I remember that one.
Yeah.
So a couple other historical ones that I wanted to just mention. Well, historical. Actually, one of them is historical. The Shirley Temple doll.
Okay.
From 1934. So when I was looking at this, what's kind of cool about it, if you had bought one in 1934, of course, midst of the Great Depression, so they're trying to move product, retailed anywhere from $2.90 to $5.80.
Okay.
Which, okay, that's not cheap.
No, in the 30s, no.
But if you had one today, in 2018, you could go on eBay, and now this is obviously not necessarily what you're going to sell it for, but there are ones on there listed in the $1,500 range.
Wow.
You had a Shirley Temple doll. So what's also remarkable about this one that comes out in 1934, it comes out after the movie Bright Eyes, which is her big first film that makes her a star
Right.
in the 1930s. And that movie came out 3 days before Christmas, which just, I don't know, I thought that was weird. Like
the timing of it.
yeah, that movie is coming out 3 days before. Because now they'll come out like on Christmas or
A month before.
a month before.
Yeah.
Like this weekend, as we're recording this, nothing comes out.
Right.
It's like Thanksgiving weekend in the United States, Christmas, and everything that comes out in the middle is just dreck.
Right.
If anything comes out at all. So I thought that was kind of cool. But yeah, so that Shirley Temple doll. So if you're going through your parents' stuff or your grandparents'
Come
stuff,
across one.
come across the Shirley Temple doll.
Good to know.
That's a good season for you.
Yeah.
So that was my one from the 1930s. I just wanted to mention that.
That's
Oh yeah,
cool.
absolutely.
As we were talking about dolls. So what else? Let's run through a few more here.
From the 80s, we've got My Little Pony,
Oh yeah.
which again is still around.
Yeah, my little one is still.
I'm
They
kinda
don't they still make that? It's a show too, right? Not
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
a toy.
Yeah.
I think they even have it like it's now CGI, like totally computer animated, and like
Wow.
different iterations of it. Like got, I don't like. I think I'm pretty sure I've seen it on Netflix for kids. Like when you're flipping through.
I was more into Care Bears than My Little Pony.
Oh yeah, Care Bears.
You know, you should. Do you guys? Okay, this is somewhat on topic. Do you have on Netflix?
Right.
Do you have one that's like grown up and then the kid one?
Yep.
Okay, because like it'd be weird if your grown up one was it was something.
Oh, no, it has kids
but
stuff
it's
on there.
but it's hilarious, right? So when you go into your like our normal like Aaron and my account, even though we only watch kids shows on the kids account, it'll still come up. Do you want to watch Paw Patrol? It's like no, I've watched Paw Patrol all day. I
Right.
don't want to watch any more Paw Patrol.
Right, because like I don't think I want to know what Netflix suggests to you after you've watched Paw Patrol and The Wire. Like I don't want to know what that algorithm spits out at you.
Yeah, no,
It's going to be something really weird.
I might have to do that. That sounds interesting.
So there you go. So I'm looking here at My Little Pony. Looks like it sort of went in spurts as a show. So it came on and off sort of sporadically here. All right, but yeah, My Little Pony, that was and I think still is pretty big.
Yeah. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention I canvassed our softball team, Sean, to see what some of their favorites were. And some of the responses I got were Tamagotchi.
Oh, those were so cool.
I never had one.
You never had a Tamagotchi?
I think my sister did. And I remember being insanely jealous because obviously I wanted to play with it. And then I think when she grew out of it, she gave it to me. But then by that point, I think the battery was just about dead.
So I had like a knockoff Tamagotchi because they were expensive when
Were
they
they?
came out. Well, for when they came out, they were pretty expensive, I remember. So I had a knockoff Tamagotchi that I'm pretty sure I got at Giant Tiger.
Nice.
But it was still the exact same premise. And I loved that little thing. It was so much fun. I think mine was a dinosaur. Like, I think my pet was a dinosaur.
But what happens? But how long would they live?
As long as you didn't kill them. Like, as long as you fed them and what, you had to pick up their poop. I don't remember that. You had to feed them.
I remember having to feed them.
You have to like not take them on walks, but like hit a button that said like you're going on a walk or something.
Play with them, I think. Yeah, I think it was those three things. You had to play with them. You had to pick up their poo, and you had to feed them or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but those were, when I was in middle school, that's everyone.
Oh, yeah, everyone.
Yeah.
They're huge.
Yeah, and you would have you would put them on your backpack, and then you would in between classes you would check on them to make sure they were okay.
Yes, in between classes.
In between classes.
Yes, never during class.
No, never during class.
During class. Responsible students that we all are.
No, Professor Graham. Another one that we got a response back, and I definitely remember having a few of them, not as many as one of our friends growing up, was Power Rangers toys.
Yeah.
There were so many out there, and one of the ones that specifically that I was told about from our team was making the Megazoids. Like you could put all the sorry, not Zoids, Zords, the Megazords, where you could put all the Zords together, and it made, you can connect them all, and it became
cool.
The Megazord. And I remember a friend of ours growing up had those, and hours we played Power Rangers.
Yeah, I the thing that always bugged me about that was the monster would be winning the fight, and then the weird woman would throw her staff thing and say, make my monster
Rita Repulsa, yeah.
So make my monster grow.
Yep.
And that's when the monster would lose. And that she did it every time. Why doesn't she learn that when she makes the monster bigger, it's going to lose? It's
Sean,
winning.
it's a kid show.
But even as a kid, I thought, this doesn't make any sense.
It's last night we're watching Frosty the Snowman with Ellie for the first time. And there's Aaron going, well, this isn't inaccurate. That would never happen. Why is he doing that? And I'm like, it's a children's television show.
Yes, the talking snowman would never behave in this way.
Let's just calm down.
I don't even remember what it was, but yeah, I totally made a stupid comment.
The major plot hole here
Oh my goodness.
is the way in which she's behaving. It's not the fact that a snowman has come to life.
No,
That's not the plot hole.
no, I mean, magic hat just makes sense. Beyond, it was something about, I don't know.
That's fair. When I go to Disney World, if you ride Splash Mountain, that plot makes no sense to me either. Because the rabbit's in trouble. You go and you make a big fall, and now the rabbit's okay. Why is me falling down a big hill helpful to the rabbit? I don't understand the plot of that either. So Yeah, these things have to make sense.
It just means you're both annoying.
What are we teaching our children if we allow this to happen? That's what we're talking about. We do it for the kids, Megan. That's what we do it for. We're here for the kids.
I got two more that I'll just mention. The other one, and my brother I think would agree with this, getting an Xbox. Now obviously that's a little bit now into the 2000s.
Yeah.
But Xbox, but I think that goes along the same line as video game consoles in general. I remember getting our first NES, and then we got a Sega Genesis for Christmas. We got an N64 for Christmas. My brother got a GameCube for Christmas. Christmas, obviously that's when they generally release these new platforms. I think they've moved away from that a little bit now, except for Nintendo. Nintendo seems to still release, or at least they did with the Wii, I think, at Christmas.
Yeah, the Wii's on my list here.
As a Christmas release, okay. But I think the Switch and everything that kind of came out, and the PS4, Xbox 360, I think those just kind of drop whenever. But yeah, I remember Christmas time being massive for consoles. I mean, even recently, and talking about inflation of prices, the NES Classic.
Yeah.
When it first came out, I remember being super excited about it. I told my siblings, we got to get one. We got to take it to the cottage, leave it there, have a ton of fun. Everyone was sold out. I remember I had to go to the grocery store before going to work, and there was a line outside of EB Games. I thought, wow, this is insane. So I called a couple stores afterwards, hey, do you guys have this? And everyone that I called went, no. I'm like, oh, wow. And well, what about this one? Good luck.
Yeah.
It was that popular.
Yeah.
And obviously the NES Classic was marketed towards us, as adults.
But the thing about it, too, though, was that it was really inexpensive.
It was $100.
Yeah, it was really, for what you were getting, because it didn't have, all of the games in one.
30 games. And,
right.
But then, of course, you go online, and people bought 2 or 3 of them. And then they put it on eBay, and so $100, people are selling them for $300, $400, $500.
Yeah, it's just crazy.
To try to capitalize. Or someone would be you go a couple days later, I played every single game, I'm done with it now, $200. It's wait, what? You've already used it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you didn't have to blow into the cartridge, which was always annoying with the other one. And
even though there was a thing about that I read, that apparently did nothing.
But it always worked.
I know. But someone did a whole article about that. Apparently it did absolutely nothing.
I don't believe that.
Yeah, me neither.
I think it worked.
Yeah. It didn't work. I took it out, I blew in it, and then it worked.
And it worked. There's no other explanation.
Oh, I agree. I did the same thing. I read something about that.
All right, so what else did the team say?
The last one we got on here was the Game Shark. And Sean, you were saying you didn't...
I was not familiar with this.
So
if you call me a cheater, I don't know what the Game Shark is. So I think we have to get rid of this narrative of me being a cheater.
What's the Game Shark?
So I think, and please someone correct me if I'm wrong, because I didn't have a Game Shark, but I think it's along the same lines as a Game Genie. So what you did
What's a Game Genie?
So the Game Genie for the Nintendo was a cartridge, so it went into your Nintendo.
Okay.
And then you put the game into it. And then what it did is this thing had cheat codes for every game.
Oh.
So I remember we had something like that for the Nintendo 64, in which you could go in, like, I remember playing James Bond GoldenEye. Mm-hmm. And there were certain codes that you could unlock or do. I can't remember how it was. But if you plugged it into the Game Genie, it unlocked everything.
So was it like, did you have to get a specific one for each game?
No, it was universal.
So it was made by that game company?
No, it was someone had made this.
Okay.
Hopefully Sean's looking up.
Yeah, look it up. So this is what it sort of looks like.
I had never heard of this before.
Yeah, exactly. We had one of those.
So,
the Game Shark.
Oh my goodness.
So you basically, you would just put the game into this and then this into the console.
That's right.
And I assume
And
that
it would
the
help you
software
cheat.
would automatically go.
Yeah, so and then what you do is
activate.
you go into the Game Shark interface, you pick the game that you want to play, and then it opens up all the cheat codes.
Interesting.
Like for James Bond, you could put a DK mode, so Donkey Kong mode, where everyone walked around with massive heads. Or you can unlock it so that you had unlimited health or infinite time or something. I can't remember them now. But yeah, it was totally cheating. But it was a lot of fun because
you could win.
Yeah, well, even that, but you could do different things with it.
Right.
Like, let's say you've gone through, you played the entire game, and, video games then and now are still expensive.
Right.
So let's say your parents got you one game. You want to get everything out of it.
Right.
So we never had the Game Shark, but a friend of ours did. So he would come over and we'd plug it in, and just hours of entertainment. Switching out games, seeing what cheat codes you could do or special features you could do with it.
It's sort of like when I would play NBA Jam a lot with my brother. And there was the tournament edition, and in that one, it was like this thing where you're playing the game, and then icons would come up on the court, and it would give you like super speed, like jam power, on fire, like all this stuff. So it was the same idea, right?
Yeah.
That it helps you in the game, but it's also more fun,
Right.
I think
Because it changes things up.
I think it just unlocks everything for you to try to get, again, the most out of the game possible.
Right.
The only time I've ever cheated in a game was when I remember Sims. Or,
Yeah.
and then you would have to have like money to like buy furniture and to do stuff, but then there was this rosebud cheat code where,
Exclamation point, semicolon.
yeah, and then you would just do it a million times, and then you would get like all of this money, and then you never had to send them to work. Yeah. And it was
so much more fun when they didn't have to work.
But because like for me the fun part about Sims was not the like interacting with other Sims part. It was I wanted to build their houses and I wanted to furnish them and I wanted to decorate them, and you couldn't do that without tons of cash. So that was the only game I think I ever cheated on.
So now we'd have to get you as like a interior design software. You'd be fine.
I actually had one of my gifts as a kid for Christmas was an architecture software where you would design houses, and it kind of gave you a 3D view of what it would look like. So you could sort of decorate a little bit, but no, I would love to have decorating software.
All right, so is there anything else here on the list?
Just a couple.
Let's just run through,
Just very quickly. Beanie Babies.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Of course, were massive.
Of course.
And, the fad, of course, was to hang on to the tags because everyone was like, oh, they're going to be super rare. Now they're not.
Yeah. Some of them are.
Some of them are, but
I've seen like the really rare ones can be kind of expensive.
Yeah, but most of them are like people are trying to get rid of them for like $2.
Yeah.
They're just trying to get rid of them.
I kept them for Ellie.
Yeah.
Right.
Another one I remember being massive, and they just came back as well, was Furbies.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, Furbies.
Furby came back.
Yeah. Those are weird.
Those things are creepy.
They're cute. They remind me of they reminded me of like Gremlins.
Right.
Of like Mogwais before they became Gremlins. You know what I mean? So like I always thought of them as being really cute and cuddly.
Right. They're kind of like. Do you think they came back because they kind of look like the things in Frozen?
What things in Frozen?
The ones that have the song about how the oaf guy and the Anna need to be together.
Oh gosh, I haven't watched that movie closely enough to know what you're talking about.
Okay. Oh, well, you'll get there.
Yeah.
She'll get there.
And then last one that I'll mention, because I remember it was a couple years ago, and same thing, inflated prices because people buy them ahead of time. Hatchimals.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah.
They are so cool.
But like I remember, same thing. People would buy 3-4 of them, knowing that they were going to be huge, and then sold them on eBay for hundreds.
Yeah.
And I mean,
I would totally get one for Ellie in a few years from now.
I think like Jingle All the Way with Arnold Schwarzenegger and Sinbad, how he's trying to get that toy for his son.
Yeah.
If it was set nowadays, it would just be about people fighting online.
Yeah.
Like he wouldn't be running from store to store.
No.
It'd just be people trying to outbid each other on. Like that'd be like a new Christmas idea. You just see adults sitting online yelling at their screen trying to outbid each other for these toys.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and let's not forget this. Just to finally, the biggest one, of course, of all time, is Princess Unicorn, which we can't forget. Princess Unicorn. No.
What's Princess Unicorn?
It's from The Office.
Yes, I totally remember. Yes, where Daryl was selling all of the, or was it Dwight or Daryl?
Dwight's selling them.
Dwight selling them, and Daryl buys
Yeah.
one. Right.
Yeah.
Yes. No.
your horn can reach the sky.
I totally remember that. Sorry, I forgot what the name of the doll was. Yes. Right. And then Toby buys one. No, what's the one where Toby buys one for his daughter, but doesn't look like her daughter, and he gets all upset.
Yeah. So Daryl buys the last one, and it's an African American.
Right, and then and then Toby buys it from his daughter, and yeah.
And it's this very awkward moment.
Yes.
Toby's like, it's even better than the one I wanted.
That's such a good episode.
Yeah. So all right. So we've talked for a bit. Now let's bring in the Christmas expert. It is a Christmas is for kids. So let's see what the kids want and what her memories of Christmas are.
Well, with keeping in mind she's 2.5, so she's had 2 Christmases so far.
Yes.
Still an expert.
Yes.
Do you remember who comes and visits us at Christmas?
Santa.
That's right.
And who's coming?
And Santa and
Rudolph and I can't know what's what.
and Frosty.
Yep.
And
Frosty.
Ellie, what would you like Santa to bring you for Christmas?
Santa hat.
A Santa hat?
Santa hat
That's a great idea.
that you can wear.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. They got dress.
So what color Santa hat would you want to ask Santa for?
Red Santa hat.
Oh, what a great idea.
It's a really good idea. Is there anything else you want?
I want for Christmas.
Yeah, that's what Sean's asking you, what you would like for Christmas.
I maybe I can pick. I can't know.
You can't know?
No. Just the hat? You're good with a hat?
Yep.
You want a hat?
Should everything else be a surprise, maybe?
Yep.
Yeah. Ellie, what is your favorite toy to play with?
My favorite is I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, there's your crayons.
Crayons are a toy.
And then there's your dancing and singing flamingo.
Thanks.
And there's your blocks.
Yeah, I want to play blocks.
Are blocks your favorite toy right now?
Yep.
Yeah.
I want to build a tower.
You want to build a tower?
Yeah? So you want to go build a tower right now?
Yep.
Okay.
That's a great idea.
Let's go build a tower. Here you go, your progeny on the podcast.
I love it.
Right there.
I'm so proud.
Expert. Now, obviously, you don't want to spoil because she might listen to this.
Of
You
course.
don't know what she does in her room when she's trying to nap. She might be listening to the History Slam podcast.
She's an active subscriber. That's what we listen to in the car together.
Yeah, but hopefully Santa will bring her his hat.
So I had to convince her though, because originally when she was telling me what she wanted for Christmas, she really wanted a green Santa hat.
Oh.
And I went, oh, I don't know if Santa has very many green Santa hats lying around. I'm like, what about a red one like Santa? And she goes, that's a great idea. I said, okay. I had to talk her away from the green Santa hat to a red one.
But what does Santa wear on St. Patrick's Day? He's probably got a green one in there somewhere.
That's not really my problem. It's
All right. Is Santa gonna sign it for to Ellie from Santa? Keep it real.
well, that's the wrapping. Yes.
Yes. There you go.
Yeah, the wrapping.
All right. So we know what she wants. What do you want for Christmas, Megan?
It's actually pretty funny because, we're doing all these like home renovations, and I just feel like, I really want our money to go towards, getting our basement finished and all that kind of stuff. So I sort of joked with Aaron, I'm like, honest to goodness, do not buy me anything this year. I just want you to make me a coupon that's good for like you doing manual labor whenever I would like you to.
Okay.
And that was the step up, because when I asked her what she wanted, originally she said drywall.
Yeah. And I said drywall, and then I think I said lumber.
Yeah. And I said no to both.
Okay, so this coupon,
Yeah.
whenever I want, would that be, that's like not a one-time use item? This is a...
No, like it'd be like once I cash in my coupon, it would be done. But like there's like little things around the house that aren't priority items that just like make me crazy. Like we have these ugly, like blinds from like the 1970s that are pink that are up, and they make me crazy, and like we just haven't gotten around to taking them down. So I was like, I would like to be able to say to you one day, here, I'm cashing in this coupon, take down these ugly blinds for once and for all. Like I know I could do it also, but it's one of those tasks where I feel like it involves some brute strength of just like yanking them down.
Well, I don't know. When I got here today, you were downstairs working on you had the saw going and doing all the measurements. I think you could.
I'm handy,
you could do it.
But there's just some things that I just want him to just do and be done with. So
you know what I think, as an impartial third party to this,
right?
You should take that coupon and you should cash it in on a Sunday in January. Perhaps when there's a football game going on somewhere in the Boston region.
I know better. I don't want to end up divorced. So I would definitely be cashing in the coupon strategically, not during certain sports games.
Basically, Saturday nights and Sunday afternoons
are off limits.
I'm busy. I'm perma booked.
Yeah. Yeah, and to the point too where like someone will be like, oh, like, do you guys want to get together, Sunday in the afternoon? And I'll be like, sure. And then he'll be like, the Patriots are playing. And I'll be like, nope, sorry, we can't. Like it doesn't even bother me anymore. I don't get upset. I just go, that's my reality. It's just.
Well, it's only 16 days a year. It is.
Usually a little bit more, because Patriots, at least for the last
they play so many night games,
right?
Because they're good, so they get on night a lot, so you don't have to worry about the daytime.
First, for people who don't like football, you can turn this off now. But for the first 9 weeks of the season, the Patriots played 5 night games. 3 Sunday night games. Like that's
a lot.
That's a lot.
That is a lot. So we have that. What do you want for Christmas, Aaron?
I didn't ask for anything. I never do. I don't think, because I drive Megan insane every year because she asks me, "What do you want?" And my mom for years as well. What do you want? And as I got older, I honestly never knew what to say. And this isn't one of those false little. I honestly don't. No, I feel as though I'm pretty...
Well, here, he's... Some years he's really easy to buy for, and other years he's not as easy to buy for. This year I didn't even ask you because I had already bought everything.
There we go. See, there's just some years that I think... I think I'm so used to being...
You got drywall, he got paint.
Yeah.
I think I'm so used to being a student and not having a lot of money that I'm so used to just talking about things that I'd like to get.
Yeah, and so then they go in my brain.
Right.
And
I'll mention it back in March and then forget about it. And then all of a sudden on Christmas, Megan has remembered. And it's like, oh yeah, I remember mentioning that.
Yeah.
So, because I still have a hard time spending money on myself, kind of thing like that. So, yeah.
All right, that's fair. Now, you're going to a Christmas party tonight.
Yes.
Is this a situation where you had to bring something?
Well, I usually bring, like, it's our 2 best friends, and so I usually buy for them.
Okay.
Yeah.
What did you get? This is going to... If they're opening it tonight, this is going to air after they've opened
That's
it.
okay. Yeah, no. So they both they're both outdoorsy. So I bought them a basil plant.
Ooh.
But it looks kind of like a Christmas tree.
Okay.
In like a cool little pot. And then I got them dinosaur socks, because who doesn't want dinosaur socks?
I can't think of somebody.
It doesn't matter what age you are. You want dinosaur socks in your life.
Especially, I think... one of our friends in particular is super excited because Ellie's also into dinosaurs.
Yeah.
And he loves them, so he's beyond excited the fact that Ellie likes dinosaurs.
Yeah, they can talk
Because they can talk
dinosaurs.
dinosaurs.
They can talk
Right.
dinosaurs. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because the Venn diagram between what a grown-up can talk about with the
Yeah.
2-year-old is kind of small.
Yeah. It's
So-
basically dinosaurs.
Yeah, so
Dinosaurs.
And like toots being hilarious. That's really...
well, that's universal.
That's universal.
Yeah.
What do you want for Christmas?
Well, of course,
World peace.
Obviously, that's all I want, and I'm good otherwise. No, I've been able to slowly, and it wasn't really hard, but to get our family just off gifts altogether.
Right.
Yeah.
So we don't get anything. My shopping is done. My shopping for next year is done as well.
Oh, nice.
So I'm good to go. My brother and I do 12 beers of Christmas.
Oh, fun.
So we do that. We've done that since he moved here, so this will be our 3rd year of doing that. So I buy those for him. So, well, thank you very much to the two of you, Megan and Aaron. Always a pleasure to have you both on the show. You're now both multiple-time guests.
Oh, Lord. I don't know how you guys talk me into this stuff.
This one I was told was quite easy to talk you into.
It didn't take a lot of convincing.
Well, it's only because I was assured there was not so much historical content that I would feel like a complete dummy.
And now that we're at the end of it, is that an accurate...
Yes.
There you go.
Yes. You sold it accurately. Thank you, boys.
All right. Well, thank you both for coming on the show, as
Always
welcome back whenever you want. And by welcome back, I mean you're welcome to come into the city for us to do this.
And I'm sorry if you're going to have troubles booking a fan favorite guest moving forward, because I'm pretty sure the 2.5-year-old is very quickly going to become a fan favorite.
Fan favorite. Yes.
She might have to get an agent, and she's going to be in such high demand now.
It's going to be a whole thing, I know.
Exactly.
Yes, but she's currently napping. Thank her when she gets up for
Will
me.
do.
And thanks everybody out there for listening. This is our last show of 2018. I don't know how many we've done this year, but it's episode 126 overall. And Aaron, you've been on about 124 of them. But thank you everybody for listening and for continuing to do this. There's some, I don't know exactly how many people download each one because we have the 2 different feeds, one of which I get numbers on, one of which I don't. But on the one feed, more people download this than I ever thought would download it. So thank you very much for listening and continuing to listen. And if you have ideas for stuff you want to hear or anything with regards to the show, always get in touch at historyslam@gmail.com. You can find me on Twitter at Dr. Shawnee Fever. Aaron's at AaronBoys1.
That's correct.
And Megan is
I
just
do
a
not tweet.
casual observer of the Twitter world.
I Instagram.
There you go. What's your Instagram? Do you want people to come find you?
At Megan Lynn Reilly.
Megan Lynn Reilly. There you go. So find everybody there. And do check out Active History on December the 21st, where Aaron and I will be back with our 6th annual year in review 100 years later.
I can't believe we made it to 6.
It's really remarkable. And we got a good list this year.
It's going to be fun.
It's going to be a good one. So be sure to check that out on the 21st. Everybody have a great holiday and a safe new year. And we'll be back in 2019. And in the interim, if you see Enrico Palazzo, please say hi for me.
Thanks for listening to the History Slam podcast. Be sure to check out Active History for more features, articles, and be sure to subscribe on iTunes.